this video off with some bittersweet news. The childhood home in which I really spent most of my life growing up in, maybe 18, 20 years of my life, is under contract. It's due to be sold, and the new buyer is planning on demolishing the house. It's a 2,000 square foot house that I grew up in, and they want to build a couple of 9,000 square foot houses on the property. So it's really going to change that place forever, which is really heartbreaking. But I suppose nothing lasts forever. I say it's bittersweet because there's actually quite a bit of opportunity coming from that situation. So my ex-stepfather, I still work with him quite frequently. He's been in the construction industry for the past 35 years. And over those years, he's just brought home just such a variety of stuff over the years. Fasteners, studs, wiring, caulk, like all this industrial construction material, fasteners, what have you. And he's planning on downsizing. So basically anything that he doesn't see any monetary value in, he's throwing it in a dumpster. Well, I shouldn't say monetary value, but I should say anything that's not worth him holding on to. It's not really efficient for him to hold on to. It's not worth his time, then it's going in the dumpster. And I see that as a major opportunity because anything that goes in the dumpster, I'm sorting through all this stuff and I'm seeing all these fasteners and like I look at the table right now, it's just like air fitting couplers and leather tool belts. Everything needs some work. It needs a little bit of love and care, but this has just been a pretty great opportunity for me to really start building up an inventory of fasteners, and that's really what this video is about. So I think something every shop should have is a set of bolt bins. Now, I've wanted a set of bolt bins for probably the past 5 or 6 years. If you go to Fastenal and buy like a couple foot high bolt bin, maybe one about 6 foot high, and you buy it fully stocked with hardware, those metal bins with the hardware, from Fastenal, you're probably looking at anywhere from $1,000 to $2,000 depending on what grade and how many pieces of hardware you get. There is a place online, I think it's called like US Bolt Kits. I was looking into them. They seem pretty interesting because you can get like these bolt bins, steel bolt bins, 4 or 5 foot high, a couple thousand piece set of hardware, but you're looking at spending around $800. Alright, so here is my solution to my bolt storage crisis, and I am just loving this thing so far. So what is this? This is clearly a bin shelf. It's 1 foot deep, 3 foot wide, and 6 feet high. And most of my bins are 4-inch wide bins. Now, when I bought this thing, I bought it used, and I was able to get some of these skinnier bins, and additionally, I also have some of these wider bins on the bottom down here. So, there are 8 bins generally across, and I think it's 12 cubbies high, 13 if you count the top, so that should come out to about 96 bins, but there's some smaller ones up here, so we'll say I have about 100 different bins here. How much does this cost if you want to buy it brand new? Brand new, if you buy it from Uline, it's with shipping, it's probably going to be around $500–600. I found this for sale used on Facebook Marketplace, and I bought it from some lady in Queens. She was a jeweler, and she used to keep different bits of jewelry in these bins, and it worked out well for her, but I guess she went under because of COVID. So it was a great opportunity for me to get a huge discount on this shelving unit. Now, I will say it did require a little bit of modification. This type of shelf is really designed to be mounted against a wall. It's really not designed to freestand on its own. So when you buy this, it does have cross bracing in the back, so there's no problem with side-to-side movement. Of course, there's a little bit, but it's really pretty strong side-to-side. Where I really had the problem was forward and back. It was really sloppy, really flopping around, so I added some 3/4 inch plywood about 3.5 feet high on either side of the shelf, which this is actually great because this is going to give me a spot to add a bunch of hooks. I could hook my welding jacket, maybe make a phone holder right here. So I'm liking the plywood right there actually, but that really braced this thing up, and now it's pretty darn firm, and I feel very confident about having it freestanding as such. Now, I actually like this thing a lot better than those metal bolt bins, and here's why. First off, if I ever need hardware, say I need some self-tapping screws, I can just pull the bin out, go bring it over outside the garage, whatever project I'm working on, and when I'm done, just take the bin, slide it back in here. Now, if I were to have a metal bolt bin organizer, whenever I need fasteners, I'd have to reach in there, scoop them out, throw them in a little coffee cup, and then, I don't know, maybe I'd spill them, forget about them, and probably just leave them outside. I'm not the best with putting stuff away always, so having these bins, just, you know, being able to slide them off the shelf and put them back with ease, I think is extremely valuable. Here's the other thing I like about this, a lot better than a conventional bolt bin. You can actually buy dividers for your little bins. And for example, here's my 1/4 inch, 1/4 nut and washer hardware bin. So I've actually divided this bin into 6 sections. In the back of this bin, I actually have stainless steel hardware, and I identified that by having my label maker. I just printed out some SS, which stands for stainless steel. So the back 3 bins are stainless steel hardware, and everything in the front is just, I think it's regular nickel plated, whatever they plate it in. So far, this thing is turning out to be something really special. And the other thing that I highly recommend if you plan to really get serious about bolt organization and storage, there's going to be 2 things that you're really going to want to buy. First off is a label maker. I think P-Touch, probably one of the best brands out there, not sponsored by them. And here's the other thing that you're absolutely going to need, a thread checker. So if you plan to do what I do, like anytime I see anybody throwing out nuts, bolts, hardware, I'm the type of guy that'll take them, I'll dump them out on the table, I'll crack a beer at night, and I'll just sort through them. It's kind of relaxing, just helps me unwind, but I'm also creating a lot of value in the things I sort. And by having a bolt checker, I can identify the proper size of everything and then sort it properly in my bin, so that way, you know, I never have a problem cross-threading anything or just having the wrong hardware in the wrong bin. So it's critical that you have everything organized to a T. So this bolt bin shelf has definitely added a lot of value to the shop so far, but I think it's also added a lot of value to itself. If I look at the total investment in this shelf, I spent probably $200 on the shelf itself, maybe $40 or $50 on fuel, so I'm into this thing for probably about $240, $250. A roll of labels for my label maker, maybe say $260, something like that. Now, if you were to go online, on Marketplace, Craigslist, and you were to look up bolt shelf, bolt organizer shelf with hardware, I mean something clean, neat, as organized as this, I could totally see this being worth around $1,000 when I finish putting all this free hardware in here. So in my eyes, I've kind of quadrupled my investment on this, definitely adding value to the shop. But before I conclude this video, I want to turn the camera around and just show you the bolt organization system that I was working with before I invested in this shelf. So this little metal drawer thing here, this is really where I started off collecting hardware and bins. I just remember like going to garage sales all the time, and just anytime I saw a bucket of bolts and screws and whatnot, I'd always say, how much is this? And most of the time the people would say, you can have that. I don't see any value in it. But I'm the type of guy that just collects this stuff over time, throws it on the table, sorts it, and then I try to find a way to organize it. Now, if you don't have the means or space to invest in a bin set like that, here's a good way you could start organizing stuff. You could start off with sandwich containers. This is literally how I started. You get like 5 of these for $1, and just with a little piece of tape, you can make your own labels, kind of what the screws look like, what the end looks like. If it's a self-tapping screw, you know, I drew that it had kind of like a self-tapper there. But yeah, I started off with this, and it wasn't pretty. It's not really that organized, but this got me by for a while, and this is where I really got started into organizing hardware. And over time, it's just turned into that. And you could see where I'm going in the future here. So sorting through this hardware, if I see anything kind of special, like any kind of specialized hardware, like I'm starting to label this as well. Like these are 1/4 inch and a half, 2-inch screws. Like these are the type of things that, you know, you're probably not going to need all the time, but if you do need them, and you were to run down to the local hardware store or Tractor Supply, you'd probably spend, I don't know, $10 on that. So just having that organized and labeled extremely neatly in these drawers like so, again, I think it's just adding a lot of value to the shop here.